So as we are on the verge of World War III, I figured I'd come in here today and talk about cold and flu season, because if World War III isn't on your mind, we're getting into the time of year where that will be on your mind. So, and because YouTube is censored the way it is, I can't talk about certain things the way I want to talk about them, so I'll talk about them over at Rumble. I have a video incoming on that soon. So be sure to check in over there, link in the description below. So today, marks about the time of, it's been about a year since we were in Hannibal, Missouri with Doug and Stacy's. They had I really enjoyed going to Hannibal. I hadn't been there since I was a kid, like a little kid. I think my parents took me there a long time ago to see the Mark Twain stuff. And, I think we rode on a riverboat back then. And then we got to ride on a riverboat with Doug and Stacy, which was phenomenal. Had a great time. Lots of great people. Got to meet there. People I'd already known. Got to see them again. And so we had a fantastic time. The boys went with me. But one of the things that stood out from that event was something I learned new. And it's always great to learn new things. And you can learn a lot of things by watching their channel. They have a great channel. And my oldest son started to get a little bit of like a flu or some kind of a weird stomach feeling, or just icky, right? All of a sudden it just popped up. And Stacy came out and said, hey, try one of these honey garlic things. And I know some of you guys have been doing this for a while, but I was kind of new. I think I may have heard about it, but it was new. I've never made this myself. And he popped one of those after she gave it to him, and boom, within like hours, it was gone. Fantastic. Now, since then, I have actually made my own when I got back home from that trip. And I made my own jar, with my own local honey that I sourced, added the garlic, added the red pepper flakes right there. And this is now my cold and flu go-to first treatment. This is what I go to first. Someone's feeling icky, you open up the jar, you take out a clove, and you pop it in your mouth. And you can digest it easily because it's fermented. But also it's got all that sugar on it, so it goes down. You can chew it pretty good, and it goes down. But it's fermented, so it loses a lot of that spice that that garlic has. If you chew a whole clove of garlic, you're like on fire. But this kind of takes that away. So what you do is you take this jar, you fill it with local honey, and you put in your cloves, okay? And then you put in your red pepper flakes, and then you're going to let that sit on your counter for, I don't know, maybe a week or so. And every day, 2 or 3 times a day, you just take it and you flip it over. So it allows that honey just to get in all in that garlic, and the garlic will float to the top. And then you come by another couple hours later and you flip it over again. You do that for several days, maybe a week worth. And as you're doing it, you're going to notice that there's becoming pressure here. Like, this is not that easy to put down. And so it's going to create gases inside. So you're going to have to burp your jar. See if it'll burp. Oh, there was a little bit burp. I don't know if you heard it, but it was a little bit of a burp. It was like so anyway, you do that every so often, and that allows the gases to escape. So I would do that probably once a day, maybe twice a day. Once a day for sure. And then, just keep flipping, go through that routine for about a week. And after that, it won't produce any more gases, and you're good to go. It's fermented, ready to go. And you can use this. And this is my top go-to. And I posted a picture on Twitter just the other day, giving Doug and Stacy the credit for, turning me on to that. And this is my, listen, I can't say that word here on YouTube. I'm a pure blood, if that makes sense. And I don't go to some of these other things that other people go to in this world. This is my go-to, okay? If I can just say it like that. And so my kids are pure bloods. And so this is what I want them to go to. And it works. The reason why we go to this is because it works. I don't need your clot shot. I'd rather just go with this. Now, last year, okay, I filled this up with garlic like you see here, and I used them all, over the course of a year, okay? People get a little stomach ache, or maybe they feel like a little icky, then you take one of these, knocks it out, you're fine. But the honey still remains in there after you pull one out. I just reload the honey. And I've heard of other people doing this. I think maybe even Stacy said you could do that. You could maybe take a spoonful of honey, because all the medicinals are in that honey, right? So you could take like a spoonful of honey, or half a spoonful of honey for the same effect, probably. But what I did, and I've heard other people do this, is I just kept the honey and reloaded it with new garlic, right? And this will be for the next year. This will be for the coming flu season, which starts basically now. And then I'm going to use it all winter and, in the spring and everything else. Now, my secondary go-to that I have found phenomenal success with, and this is something that I've been promoting on with the herbal extracts books, is the Mullen. I mean, this, my friends, the Mullen tincture is like, I have different tinctures. I have echinacea. I have different ones that I like. My go-to. I have elderberry tinctures. I have lots of different things. Okay, but of my favorite, all the ones. I mean, I have different ones. This is my favorite, the Mullen, and this is really a go-to thing. Now, how I make this is I go out in the springtime, early summer, and I get all those new mullen plants that are coming up. You're going to see some big ones and some little ones, big leaves and small leaves. I get something from everybody. I get some big leaves from the big plants. I get some small leaves from the new plants. I get the roots from the old plants, the second-year plants and first-year plants. If you don't know, mullen has a first and second-year cycle. Okay, it's going to be a plant the first year, and then the second year it's going to send up a stalk with flowers on it. Okay, so I will get roots and leaves from both year plants. I will also harvest a number of flowers from the second-year plants, and I will put those into the tincture, and I will tincture those with vodka. You can tincture with things like rum or other things, as long as it's 80 proof. I like doing the rum because it has a better flavor than just normal straight vodka. But either way, as long as it's 80 proof, you're good to go. And this has been my go-to. In fact, I need to make some more, and I got some more already cooking. So this bottle's almost empty. I'm going to recharge this bottle. But I like the Mullen. It's like my secondary go-to. In fact, I have found, and other people are doing this too, if you have a nebulizer, you can nebulize this. Mullen is great for the lungs. So if you have some sort of influenza infection, a lung infection, things like that from some sort of sickness, you can nebulize that. I filter it through a coffee filter first because there are particles in here, and then nebulize what I have filtered through the coffee filter. Okay, all that aside, you can get these books over at patreon.com/An-American Homestead. I got some other things I want to talk about today. Check out this email. But if you're interested in how to make the Mullen, I don't have this recipe in there, but again, it's just basic. It's honey, garlic, and red pepper flakes. And then ferment it and turn it over every so often, and then burp your jars. That's it. It's easy peasy. You can't get more easy than that. But if you want more information on tinctures, it doesn't tell you how to make tinctures. It tells you what to do with them and why. All kinds of color photos, lots of things that are growing just in your backyard, medicinals that people 100 years ago would have absolutely known about. This guy, Dr. A.B. Howard, wrote this 100 years ago. It's out of copyright now, out of print. And if you bought these on Amazon, you're going to pay over $1,000 at least. Last time I looked, one was like $1,400 and the other one was like over $1,100 on Amazon. And the reason they're so expensive is because the information is valuable that it's contained within. So don't pass up this opportunity. If you're a Patreon, you can get it for as little as $1. Join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month, and they'll give you access to these downloads and also access to a company that will print them for you so you don't keep them on the cloud. Ugh. If the cloud goes away tomorrow, some of you guys are in big trouble. So get things printed, and then start making your tinctures. Okay, so the other day, I got a very condescending email from someone who watched a previous video when I talked about chicken eggs. Chicken eggs. Chicken eggs. Okay, I have a new website submission, it says. First name, it's from Nevermind. He puts Nevermind. The email address it came from, he inserted nevermind@nomatter.com. And the message, because in the video, I talked about, okay, here's how you know your egg is fertilized. Okay, you're going to see a little white dot in the middle of it. And that's how you know it's fertilized. He responds, however, condescendingly so, not proof of fertilization. That white thing floating in raw eggs is chalaza, pronounced chalaza. You cannot see the microscopic sperm, he says. You should know this, but you do now. Okay. Let me educate you there, no matter. So if you crack open an egg, like me, who has a rooster on the property, actually a couple, and you will see, yes, there is a chalaza there. In the picture, you're seeing a picture right here on your screen, there's a chalaza. That's that white substance that you may see on the side of the egg. But see, there's also this white dot in the middle of the egg or on top of the egg. That, my friend, that, my ignorant friend, is evidence of fertilization. That is called the germinal disc. If you Google it, it says when you crack open the egg, if it is fertile, you'll notice a small white spot on the top of the yolk, about 4 millimeters in width. This is called the germinal disc. This is what tells you if the egg has been fertilized. I'm not going to tell you something, that's completely untrue if I haven't researched it or done it myself. I mean, there are times where I talk about topics that, listen, I'm not perfect. I'm not right about everything, but most things I try to be correct when I try to spout them off. I know I'm correct. Yes, you can tell if an egg is fertilized. It's very simple. If you have a rooster, you're going to have a white dot in most of your eggs, signifying that it is fertilized. If for some reason you have an egg that has a white dot, but you do not have a rooster, somewhere out there is a rooster, and he's paying attention to your chickens when you're not looking. I don't know, midnight rendezvous, whatever, hanky-panky. Some sort of shenanigans is going on. There's a rooster somewhere if you have that white dot. Okay, I just thought that was funny, and I wanted to share it with you. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Do you have a white dot in the center of your eggs? Because the point I was making in the other video, before No Matter decided to chime in, was the fact that, all of my eggs here are aborted. Okay, they're not being created into new chickens. Because what's been sent in to me recently is that all of these tax assessors are saying, hey, you have to keep track of all your eggs because that's untaxed income. If your chicken produces eggs, we have to tax that. You must keep track. And I'm like, no. All my eggs here are aborted. You don't go get pregnant, go to Planned Parenthood, abort your child, and still get your child tax credit, do you? Well, then why should I have to worry about, my aborted chicken eggs? Well, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Tax assessors. The reason why tax assessors are getting so ridiculous, I was going to use a different word, is because the money is being worth less. The value of your dollar, the buying power of your dollar is going down because of the crazy monetary spending and policies by Congress. They won't stop spending money and the Fed won't stop printing money. Thus, the value of your dollar goes down. So tax assessors and government officials, bureaucrats, slimy bureaucrats have to get more inventive in ways to discover how to get money out of you because they have their own agendas. They have their own plans, their own spending plans. And the only way they can achieve their goals is to get more money out of you because the dollar is now worth less. At some point, you just have to say, no, stay away from my chickens. Again, what do you think? Leave a comment below. Also, make sure you check out those books over at patreon.com/An-American Homestead. You can join for as little as $1 a month. You're going to get over $2,000 worth of amazing books that are well over 100 years old. Information that the pharmacia companies out there have long been wanting to get out of the hands of the general public. Don't waste time. Get that stuff today and get it printed. All right. Love you guys. See you next time at the Homestead. Bye. In the spring of 2024, Saudi Arabia ended the long-held practice of requiring its oil to be sold in U.S. currency. And recently, governments around the world have been repatriating their physical gold from Western banks, opting instead to hold that gold within their own borders. China, meanwhile, continues to set records in terms of stockpiling its physical gold reserves, while at the same time dumping billions in U.S. treasuries. All these instances can otherwise be called indicators. Indications that the world is readying itself to participate in trade that does not involve the United States or the dollar. And at home, our banks are showing signs of a deflationary collapse, in which case the FDIC does not have a fraction of the funds on hand to ensure you can get your money should your bank fail. On the other hand, they keep telling us inflation is getting under control, but for some reason, the prices we pay day to day keep going up and products we pay for keep getting smaller. I've put a link in the description below this video that will allow you to start the process to convert money you may have already saved into precious metals that you yourself can hold. You hold it, you own it. Throughout history, precious metals have always been accepted for goods and services, even in the most chaotic of economies and war-torn countries, dating all the way back to when Alexander the Great ruled the known world. Guys, we're over $35 trillion in debt. If you're concerned, I don't blame you. ITM Trading has a well-documented history of helping people put their money into physical metals that you hold. Again, if you hold it, you own it. Hit that link below and see how ITM Trading can help you get the ball rolling towards financial sustainability. The consultation is free and there's no pressure. They will show you your options based on your concerns and goals you have for the future. By doing this, you're safeguarding wealth just like people have done successfully for literally thousands of years. You are now part of that history. Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of an American Homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the Homestead that we make here on the Homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. I'll wait.